இப்ப என்னவா இப்ப நம்ம
Principal sir?
Madam, shall we start it, madam?
Yes, sir. We shall
please.
start, sir. Let them join.
Okay, please.
Sir is
madam.
online, sir. So
No
we shall
problem.
start now, sir.
Please proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Priyadashini,
Yes, ma'am.
you can start.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, ma'am. Welcome every morning with a smile. Look on the new day as another special gift from your creator, another golden opportunity to complete what you were unable to finish yesterday. Be a self-starter. Let your first hour set the theme of success and positive action that is certain to echo through your entire day. Today will never happen again. Don't waste it with a false start or no start at all. You are not born to fail. With this positive and inspired words of Og Mantino, I welcome you all for this wonderful noon. On behalf of Trinity College for Women Arts and Science of PG and the Research Development of English, I warmly welcome you all for this one-day national level workshop on Learning Outcomes-Based Curriculum Framework. It's my preference to welcome our Trinity family's Honorable Principal, Sir, Dr. Emma Lakshmi Narayanan, to address the gathering. We welcome you, sir.
Okay, madam, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
PG and Research Department of English, Trinity College for Women, Arts and Science, Namakkal, Tamil Nadu State, organized a one-day national level workshop entitled Learning Outcomes Based Curriculum Framework. In this regard, I warmly and cordially invite Dr. J.N. Balia, Head of the Department of Educational Studies, Central University of Jammu and Kashmir. We warmly invite you, sir. Next, in this regard, I warmly invite all the faculty members in various institutions. This program convener, Mrs. Poornima, our respected chairman, Mr. C.K. Sengodan, our distinguished secretary, Engineer J. Naruswamy, our director academic, Dr. Arsa Parameshwaran, our administrative officer, Mr. N. Sanjay Kumar, faculty members of English, G. Kanaga, A. Revati, S. Bharati, L. Deepika, S. Malarkodi, R. Bhanupriya, S. Srividya, P. Uma Bharati, R. Priyadashini, and other participants. First of all, I convey thanks to Dr. J.N. Balia to accept this workshop, serve as the resource person of this mega program. We warmly invite you, sir. And again, I call upon one and all present here. I convey best wishes to all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. There is nothing more difficult to take in hand, more perilous to conduct, or more uncertain in its success than to take the lead in the introduction of a new order of things. With this perfect word of introduction, I specially welcome Ms. S. Poornima ma'am, the convener, assistant professor, and head of UG of our English department, Trinity College for Women, to give chief guest introduction. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Priyadashini ma'am. Greetings to everyone. It's my immense pleasure to introduce our today's chief guest, Dr. J.N. Balia sir. Dr. J.N. Balia sir has a vast experience of teaching and administration in teacher education institutes as teacher educator for the last 31 years. And he is presently working as head Department of Educational Studies, Central University of Jammu. And he is also the program coordinator for PMM-NMTT MSRD and UGC Swayam coordinator, Central University of Jammu. He is having doctorate in education along with post-graduation in education, mathematics, sociology, and many other academic credentials during his period of service. He is also involved in the research work in the field of educational technology, curriculum development, and pedagogical practices, and written various research papers and articles in the relevant fields in the reputed journals at national and international levels also. Dr. Balia sir has also attended various conferences, seminars, and workshops at the international and national level and presented the papers related to the issues of the discipline of education. He has authored 6 books on various educational issues with teaching of mathematics, micro-teaching, curriculum development and measurement and evaluation, tribal education, etc. Dr. Balia sir is associated with various international and national organizations, bodies as the life member in the executive boards and member of editorial board in 5 other journals at national as well as international level. Really, such a wonderful personality we have today for our workshop. I kindly invite sir to deliver his presentation. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your valuable acceptance, sir.
The chief function of the city is to convert power into form, energy into culture, dead matter into the living examples of art, intellectual production into a social creativity. As Louis Mumford said, today gonna be one of the academic moment of the year. Yes, it will be made by our chief guest wonderful sharing into a lesson for us. It's my eminent duty and pleasure to welcome our today's event's hero and chief guest, Dr. J.N. Balia sir, Head of Educational Studies Department, Central University of Jammu, Jammu. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you everyone. Thank you, Dr. Poornima. Thank you all people. And at this outset, let me first of all convey my regards, gratitude to all the people sitting here, and mainly the principal of the college, Dr. Lakshmi Narayan sir, and all the people, the chairman, the secretary of the college, the institute, and I'm simply a learner of education, and whenever I participate in any conference, workshop, it's always a kind of situation for learning for me, and I'm glad. I really feel honored to be the part of this wonderful workshop which you have planned, and I hope that my interaction with you would certainly benefit all the participants and the scholars present here. Friends, let me share with you that the whole country is facing a challenge in terms of the whole system of education getting transited towards a new policy. We all understand that it was last year, July 29th, when we got a new policy of education. And that policy, we are in the process of building up the path of implementation, path of execution. And there itself, we do talk about various issues of curricula, various issues regarding pedagogy, various issues regarding evaluation practices. This is one part. Another part, friends, you all know that this time, this phase in the whole world, the whole planet got a new kind of crisis, and that COVID-19 crisis, which has led to many challenges. And I think we all should agree on this point that any crisis always lead to the challenges. And to face those challenges, we need to develop two things very important, very vital. One is the competencies, the desirable competencies, whether it's the student, whether the teachers or administrators, the policymakers, we need to have competencies. And another point, of course, we understand is the commitments. So I understand all the participants who have joined this meeting, all the people who have organized, fabricated this meeting would certainly go for building up the path of competencies and commitments among everyone. When we say competencies, friends, we do come to one point, and that is made in the context of, as I was sharing with you, the National Policy on Education 2020. Dr. Poornima, I hope I am audible to everyone.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So,
you are audible.
fine. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you, man. Thank you. So this point which actually I am leading towards is very, very vital issue in the whole policy. Whether it is school education, whether it is higher education, be it professional education, vocational education, we all have to develop curricula or the family of curriculum where we do talk about the learning outcomes. And friends, the topic which I'm sharing with you, and I'll be very clear that this is not a lecture. This is just an interactive session with you all, because this is a workshop. So I believe that everyone should participate. I'll be leaving adequate time for the questioning, and I would be very delighted if some very meaningful questions are posed before me, and I would be able to answer those questions. So friends, today I'm taking up learning outcome-based curriculum framework, and that is the main task the main challenge which we are facing these days. What the curriculum, because you all understand that when we talk about higher education institute, sometimes we do say that out of top 500 or sometimes out of top 200 universities, we do come somewhere one or two institutions. But I always believe that India being a country which had been leading the whole world as a Vishwaguru for so many years, we had so many popular universities like Nalanda, Takshila, and we have led the whole world in terms of providing quality higher education or school education. But now, this phase, as 21st century, we have already passed around 20 years. I believe that we must build up the path. We must build up the kind of whole route of education so that we provide the best, the quality education to our learners, and we also get that kind of recognition which we had earlier days. So with this, I start my presentation, and I think I would request you to please allow me to share my presentation. I hope that this presentation is on.
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
Yes, thank you, thank you. So this is the task which we are taking up, designing learning outcome based curriculum framework. That's what we need to understand, friends, that when we say learning outcome based curriculum, I don't need to talk in detail about curriculum. We all understand, but one thing I'd like to start with, we need to start with that generally what we believe, or what we actually sometimes assume that curriculum means syllabus, which is not so. We all understand that, because curriculum, basically we talk in terms of having so many components, and when we design any curriculum, or when we design curricula of various courses, various programs, 4 components we generally do refer to. One is the aims and objectives, and which we generally see that, okay, when we design a curricula, we do talk about aims and objectives, then content and the modes of transaction, and of course, the evaluation methods. That is actually, when we design a curriculum, we do talk about that. But when we say the curriculum development, friends, we have to understand that curriculum development is a very, very broad, very comprehensive process, where we have to first plan the design of curriculum. We have to then evolve a proper kind of curriculum, and the main task is the transaction, that is the implementation of curriculum. And of course, after and during transaction, during implementation, we do talk about the evaluation of that, and accordingly we go revising, improving. That's regular practice. And there we come to the point that, yes, how to design learning outcome based curriculum framework. And first of all, we have to understand, friends, that, and I think most of you are the people from higher education, and you do understand that recently, for around 10-15 years, University Grants Commission is working hard for revising and then evolving quality mandate, and there they have referred this concept which I thought I must share with you, and that is learning outcome based curriculum framework, because this is basically based on as per the international standards of outcome based education. That is, we should first of all know what would be the probable outcomes of any program, any course, all that. So to start with this, I believe that my slides are getting transited, Madam Dr. Poornima, because sometimes slides don't get changed.
Yes, sir. It's changing, sir. No problem.
Yeah. 4 basic principles of outcome. This is the slide I'm sharing. Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's visible now.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Because sometimes I have seen that slides don't get shifted. So, friends, when we say outcome-based education, what we actually emphasize upon, we say that we should have the clarity of focus. The clarity of focus for everyone, whether it's a learner, whether the course designer, whether the person who is implementing, the practitioner. And I think we all understand the key person in the whole system of education is the key practitioner, and that is the teacher as well as the students. Students and teachers in the classroom or in any learning platform, what they do, they basically practice the curriculum. And therefore, we say that there should be a clarity of focus of the particular program or particular course for both the students as well as teachers. Another point, very, very vital, is the designing down. That means when we design, when we fabricate, when we evolve any curriculum, we have to go to the micro level. Micro level means that we should not, generally you see that whenever we design curriculum or design curricula, we simply say, okay, the broad framework. But I'll be sharing, friends, with you some very key examples just now, that how can we go to the micro level? What is the micro, meso, and macro level of curriculum designing, which is very important. And that's my humble appeal to all the people sitting here, that we should concentrate. We should see that the planning is not only at the macro level, it should be at meso level, it should be at micro level. That means starting from classrooms, starting from the basics of the classrooms, we should see that the student, the learner, who is always, I believe, because you understand in the whole structure, the student is basically a beneficiary. And we as functionaries, we have to see the gap between the functionaries and beneficiaries should be minimized, should be reduced to the minimum. That should be our target, whether it's a curriculum, whether it is curriculum planning, whether it is curriculum transaction, be it curriculum evaluation. You see in this pandemic, COVID-19, we see that the whole concept, the practices we have to modulate, we have to regulate in different directions because of the new challenges which we are facing. And nobody knew in this planet that we'll have to totally shift on online education. For last 1.5 years, we are just concentrating on online education. Though we had started some kind of online, but that was a blended shape. That was a hybrid shape. But for last 1.5 years, and there, as I shared with you when I started my interaction with you, that what we need to have, friends, the competencies along with the commitments. And competencies you need to refine day by day. See, if you just compare, let us see the last year when we had this corona in the month of March, April, when the whole country got that shut down in case of education sector. Teachers on that day and teachers as on today, you'll find too much of difference in their competencies. We could face this challenge, but of course, but competencies we required what to be a little bit higher. But anyway, so high expectations are also we have to take into consideration. These points I'll be sharing with the help of examples in slides to come. And then every curricula, this outcome-based education outcome-based education talk about that we should have expanded opportunities. I'll just now share with you what do we mean by expanded opportunities. Because what happens, like somebody joins a BA course in any university, in any college, somebody joins MBA, somebody joins BTech or MTech. That student, whether he is joined BTech electrical, BTech mechanical, BTech civil, he should know when he starts, it's not at the end of the curriculum, but when he starts his course, when he starts his journey of this whole program, he should know what are the expanded opportunities for him. And that is the beauty of outcome-based education. I'll be coming more and more on this issue. So friends, I said that clarity of focus, designing down, that means whole fabric of curricula should be designed from bottom to top. And of course, undoubtedly high expectations and expanded opportunities. Now, I'll just, another point I'd like to emphasize upon, friends, that when we design ILO, generally we say that intended learning outcomes based statements, we do talk that we should have very clearly the reference of the performer. We should know who is performer. There must be a performer, and performer is, I told you, the basic beneficiary, and that is the student. And there must be something performable. I'll just cite you one example here, that whenever we see curricula, sometimes now we are in process of designing good curricula, but sometimes you see curriculum, you can evaluate that curriculum. That curriculum doesn't mean that simply the listing of topics. What happens that we simply frame curriculum, we say that, okay, this is a syllabus, so we write unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, unit 4. We write, yes, these are some, suppose 4 credit course, and unit 1, this is the content, unit 2, this is the content. That is not the practice which we should go for. That's what I'm emphasizing upon, friends, that for every component of curriculum, which I shared with you, objectives, content, pedagogy, and evaluation. Always take care of these 4 points. Whenever you design any curriculum, always see that we concentrate on this issue. So the focus in ILO statement is on that there must be a performer. There must be something performable, and the focus should be on the performance, not the completion of the activity. Now, third point, I would request you all to look at very seriously. That focus should be on the performance. That means this LOC of curricula reflects that focus should be on the process, not on the product only. Because generally what we see is, okay, this is the product. Okay, we are preparing graduates. Okay, this is a BA program. So students, you see that sometimes we see that any student who joins BA or he joins the course, he simply goes in a very, very mechanical way. Okay, he completes 1 semester, 2nd semester, 3rd semester. But as curricular transaction people who are at the helm of curriculum implementation, curriculum designing, friends, we all are at that stage. We have to see that focus should be on the performance, the process. How should learner perform? What should the platform where the teacher should develop that performance or should create the performance, should evolve that performance. That should be the point. Now, this is the, I have directly come to the point, friends, that I think I am sure that you might have seen that UGC has recently notified so many curricula based on LOCF for different subjects. And it's my again humble appeal to you all, friends. You must go through the curricula of different subjects, of different disciplines. And when you design curricula for your university, for your institute, for your college, see that your curricula should be based on LOCF. And what is LOCF? That's let me uh, uh, again come to this point. I have placed some examples before you that uh, uh, what is the difference between a cook and the chef, the people, the persons who are in the kitchen and the persons. So we should understand that difference kind of thing, that uh, the cook is basically, a cook will normally take all the ingredients and put in the vessels and cook the food. Now we see that whenever we go to any restaurant, whenever we go to any cafeteria or any place of eating, food junction, the quality of food, the essence of food basically reflects the competence of chef. Chef means the head cook, the person who is responsible, who is accountable from beginning, from the start to the end, who is responsible for everything, the taste, the quality, the odor, and all that different kind of, that whole uh, uh, components of that recipe. So the institutes have to see that whenever we design curriculum, whenever we frame curriculum, we should see that we adopt proper framework of curriculum. Now I'm coming to the technicalities of LOCF, friends. Now here you have to understand, because of a UGC and at international level, although curricula have been framed on the basis of this framework. So friends, let us see now, let us deliberate on this point. And I would also request that you try to note down some of the points, and so that you can raise some questions, raise some doubts, raise some queries if you have. So when we say that learning outcomes, friends, learning outcomes, knowing learning outcomes, framing learning outcomes, designing learning outcomes, and or designing the whole structure of curriculum based on learning outcomes, basically do talk about. Suppose you have to frame a curricula for geography, BA geography, because you understand that curricula are framed at undergraduate level, curricula are framed at postgraduate level, curricula are framed for professional institutes like yours is a college, very famous college. You have worked hard for so many years to gain that kind of popularity, to gain that kind of recognition in the society at the national level. So when you design curricula, you have to see these four things should be very clearly formulated and reflected. My discussion, friends, now onwards would be based on these four components. The first is very important, that is known as GA, that is graduate attributes. I'll be explaining them one by one point, and I would rather request that you should also try. That's what I was sharing with Dr. Poornima, that since this is a workshop, when we generally discuss this LOCF, we go for 3-4 days workshop, and one day we discuss, and the next day teacher, the participants try to design a curricula based on these aspects, and then they do the presentation. But that's not possible in 1.5 hours. But of course, I'll take on some of the queries you have. So graduate attributes is the first point. Second point, every curricula, and what I'm sharing, friends, that every curricula should have graduate attributes. I shared with you that curricula doesn't mean that simply the listing of syllabus, listing of topics, unit 1, unit 2, unit 3. We generally do that. I go through various universities at the members of board of studies and members of so many bodies, academic bodies, and I see that the teachers or the different departments, when we see the curricula, it's really sometimes, I do share with you that it's really sometimes painful on my part to see that, that unit wise listing of topics unit wise is not curriculum. It's not curriculum unless we notify, we formulate the graduate attributes. What are graduate attributes? I'll be sharing now. Second point, qualification descriptors, QD. Third, PLO, that is program learning outcomes. And then course learning outcomes. I think we all understand that program and course are two different things. Like generally we say that this is MA program, this is MA English program. But courses are the specific components of any program. Program could be the larger context. Program could be the wider context. But within program, we have different courses. For example, when somebody is doing MA English, it's a program. The courses we have like British drama, American poetry, American like that kind of thing. Similarly in education, similarly in engineering courses, we have different courses. So different courses constitute to win program. What we start, we finalize graduate attributes, then we develop qualification descriptors, and then we design our program learning outcomes, and from program learning outcomes we derive course learning outcomes. That should be the practice, and that requires too much of brainstorming, friends. Too much of brainstorming. It's let me share with you. It's not. I won't say it's a difficult task, but this is undoubtedly technical task, because when we frame curricula on these lines, then only we'll be able to design, deliver, and then evaluate any curriculum in proper direction. So that's very, very important point. Now, let me come to the point first, what is graduate attributes? And that is very, very important point. Let me share with you. Yes, graduate attributes, because this presentation has so many slides and I have very limited time. I want to give the time for the questioning also. So what are graduate attributes? Suppose you have any program, you are designing curricula for any program in your institute. The first thing you should concentrate, first thing you should have brainstorming on would be the graduate attributes GS. The graduate attributes basically, that reflect specific qualities, the specific abilities of every individual learner in terms of knowledge, in terms of understanding, in terms of skills, in terms of attitudes, human values. What are the broad level qualities which you actually, that think for, visualize for the students? Suppose at undergraduate level, whether it is PG level, postgraduate level, you as a course designer, as a curriculum designer, friends, whether you are teacher, whether you are institutional manager, whether you are a policy maker, you have to see that how do you design your graduate attributes. And I'll be sharing with you, but let me just share with you that these are some set of competencies, and that's why you have to understand that graduate attributes. Suppose I'm a student, okay, I want to join a specific course. Now, as a student, I should know why should I join this course. I'll have to compare. We go to the market, suppose we purchase the things, that we do a comparative analysis. We do that, okay, the same product we purchase. Suppose we purchase washing machine. We see different brands, and then we see that which brand is giving me the best qualities, best reflection. So same way, as a learner, if I join a course, this is my right to know which program, which curricula would give me the best attributes after the completion of that course. And these graduate attributes should be designed, should be discussed and designed by the curriculum framers at the time of. That is the point. We generally, friends, I don't say that we don't do it, but generally, friends, these things are technically ignored. We simply believe that, yes, we have to simply design curriculum means we have to take some of the topics. Frankly speaking and harshly speaking, friends, very plain sharing, I think, friends, whenever the very regular practice in framing curricula and various bodies is that we sometimes borrow curricula from one university, other university, and just mix up the things, list out the topics, and we say, okay, Board of Studies is there, okay, this is the curricula, and the students also join. So there's sometimes we find misalignment, mismatch between the students' expectations and the practices which we are providing. So that's very, very important point, friends, that graduate attributes should be designed, should be discussed, and framed for. And one thing, that one very interesting fact I will share with you. The purpose of LOCF is based on one premise. What is that premise? That every student and graduate is unique. Now you would say India is a large country. India is a country having around 60,000 colleges in higher education. India is a country having around 1,180 universities. And when we talk about the schools, we have around 20 lakh schools in our country. And I personally believe, friends, I don't know to what extent you will agree with me. I am not in opinion of comparing India in terms of education with the countries like Finland, Sweden, because Finland, the population of Finland is just 50 lakhs, 55 lakhs. And they have their own geographical, climatic, and religious language factors. We have multilinguistic country, multicultural country, and all that. So let's not go into detail, but we do all understand. So it's a very important on our part. When we design curriculum, we have to assume this fact that every graduate is unique. So it's a very challenging task. And therefore, we should know what kind of expected students we should have in the local context. Suppose you are in Tamil Nadu, somebody is Hyderabad, somebody is UP, somebody is Jammu and Kashmir. We should know what are the specific local requirements, local attributes, local expectations of that student has. Because the premise is that every graduate, when I say every student and graduate is a product. Student as at entry point, student joins a course, completes the course, he becomes graduate. So graduate is the product, student is the input. That's what we have to understand. But we have to understand, we have to believe that every student and graduate is unique. And number two, second point, that every student or graduate has his or her own characteristics in terms of previous learning levels, previous experience, previous life experiences, learning styles, approaches to future related action. Because if he has joined BTech course, if he has joined MTech course, if he has joined MA English or MA History, do we develop that approach? And for that purpose, that's what we say. Okay, this we are not coming in the first. Though there are other factors also, but when we compare with the top level of universities, higher education institutes, I think you all understand the universities like Takshila and Nalanda. If you look at their curricula, we have not been able to orientate, but if you see that curriculum at that time, It was completely based on these things. Every student, whenever he joins any course, a complete structure of curriculum. It's not only content. As on today, we sometimes you see in the prospectus also only sometimes content are given, and the students are not so bothered about. We have to create that awareness, the quality, the depth, and the breadth of learning experiences the students have, the students should have, that higher education should have to work upon that point. And that would require too much of brainstorming, friends, too much of framing graduate attributes. I have just one or two examples with you. I think you can understand in terms of GA that suppose we are framing curricula for BEd and MEd. So we do understand that a BEd course, what should be the expected characteristic, the qualities of the BEd pass students. As a BEd graduate means Bachelor of Education graduate. And as an MEd student, when he completes, and that's why you say that in MEd class, which actually I'm heading this department, education department, and we see that at MEd class, what type of products, attributes we should have. So when I frame BEd curricula or when I frame MEd curricula, I have to see from two different angles in terms of graduate attributes. Graduate attributes means that those attributes concerning to the knowledge, skills, values, not only knowledge or content, but the skills also. Values, the attitude, the belief system. There has to be a difference between the graduate program and the postgraduate program. Not in terms of generally what we assume that, okay, postgraduate program has to be a little bit difficult, little bit advanced, but advancement in what way? That's what we have to understand. Advancement in terms of the language and advancement in terms of the skills, advancement in terms of, so when we compare two different curricula of the same subject, how do we make the difference? Not only in terms of keeping difficult topics is the PG level and easy topic at the graduation level. Even within graduation level, suppose you are framing a curricula for graduation level, UG course. Now you might be knowing that as per new education policy, we are getting UG courses at different multiple exit system. But let us talk about today's graduation course of 3 years. 3 years means 6 semesters. So when we frame curricula for different 6 semesters, it should not be that first semester is easy, second is difficult, the third is difficult, then second. No, it's not only in terms of difficulty level, but in terms of expected knowledge, skills, values, and yes. So that is the point which we have to understand, that attitude from so that difference we have to make. So some of the graduate attributes I'm sharing with you, which have been talked about in terms of LOCF, though it needs to be, I understand that just 1.5 hour discussion will not suffice the purpose, but I am sure that my purpose is to just create a spark, and you are better practitioner than me. You would be able to transact, you would be able to design those things. If you go deep and deep, friends, you are at the helm of affairs and the helm of the situation where you have to design curricula. Disciplinary knowledge, communication skills, critical thinking, problem solving, analytical reasoning, so many factors, scientific reasoning, reflective thinking. As on today, we are talking about digital literacy, self-directed learning. These are some of the graduate attributes. We are not necessary to pick up all, but we can pick up some of our one semester, some of our next semester, and we see these graduate attributes are to be connected with the practices which we have to go for, with the facilities we have, with the kind of training of teachers we require in that. Because I think you all agree with me, framing curriculum means not only that designing a syllabus, but the quality of teachers, the quality of infrastructure, quality of managerial support, and quality of the financial support, the capital support also are the related factors. But let us say that these, when we design curriculum, we always see that we do frame these graduate attributes, the leadership readiness qualities, the lifelong learning, the moral and ethical awareness, the reasoning, and all these factors should be taken care of. It's not only that one or 2 points. I say that the whole journey from first semester to second, third, fourth, fifth, and the learner who completes his education at the end of sixth semester, he becomes the graduate, if it's a graduation course. So at that level, his situation should be that he attains maximum attributes. So we can, that we can segregate those attributes at different levels. And we can see that, okay, this attribute can be given in that way. Now, second factor, second component, very important, friends, is the qualification descriptor. One thing I would request, I would advise friends, that all these things are connected. Because from graduate attributes, we draw qualification descriptors. So I think you should learn in the situation of that connectivity, interdependence. Now, what are the qualification descriptors? Qualification descriptors reflect both some kind of disciplinary practices, disciplinary knowledge, the professional skills, the understanding of subject disciplines, all those generic skills, the global competence, other factors. And qualification descriptor always reflect the academic standards, the common academic standards for the qualification. Suppose there are three institutions offering three different programs, three different kind of courses. Those three different programs can have three different academic standards, three different qualification descriptors. That is very, very important. That's very, very vital issue. It should be taken care of by the curriculum designer. And as I shared with you, friends, that curriculum designing means from micro level. See that at micro level, the teacher who is sitting at the practice stage, he is also involved, he is also engaged, he is also very active participant. And I would rather make this humble appeal to everyone present here that when you design curriculum, try to have the participatory approach with least ego. See that in your boards of studies, in your boards, in your councils of curriculum framing, people, even the students, alumni should also be involved. I think this is a practice which we all be following. We follow in our university. When we design curricula, we always talk about academia industry alliance or academy industry kind of relationship. And not only that, but the students who have passed out, the students who are doing this course, all people should sit together. Teachers, whether senior, whether junior, but what generally happens, only senior teachers, not to say, but only senior teachers sit and formulate the curriculum. Even the product, the fresh products who have recently joined teaching profession, they should also be involved without any ego, and then sit together and see that what should be the best qualification descriptors of the program. So qualification descriptors, basically academic standards of that particular, and always sometimes the people who have that kind of doubt, I won't say doubt, but kind of illusion that what is the difference between GA and QD. We generally say it's almost same, but major difference in terms of that what should be, because GA we frame and QD means what does that qualification describe. That after gaining that qualification, like when a student joins MA Economics, he should understand, okay, after this qualification, I will be able to describe this kind of qualification in terms of whether he goes to the industry, whether he goes to the capital market, he joins any corporate sector. He should know, okay, these would be my requirements, these would be my desirable things which I have to reflect, I have to describe. You see that what happens that whenever we go for the placement, why do the placement, the kind of agencies, or why do some industries or organizations look for the institution? Okay, they say, okay, I prefer IIM this, I prefer IIT this, I prefer this institute, this, that institute, because they know their curricula is well built. The whole mechanism of building the curricula is because you see the base of any program. That's what I'm emphasizing upon. The base of every program is the curricular structure. Another point, because now two things: graduate attributes and qualification descriptors. And again, let me share with you. I don't have time. Otherwise, I would request the organizers of this workshop to do share. If you have any groups and all that, do share. Or you can just go and download some of the curriculum. You might have done it. You can download some of the curricula from UGC websites also and see your own discipline curricula. The teams have done wonderful tasks. Teams have really done good tasks, and they have designed very good LOCF based curriculum. For every program, they have graduate attributes, they have qualification descriptors, they have this program learning outcomes, and not necessary that you have to strictly follow those things. Not necessary that. You can design your own curricula, but broad guidelines, because it's a framework. Framework doesn't say that you have to implement in totality. It's a framework, so you have to follow the frame, and within frame you have the element of flexibility and that your own discretion, and you can accordingly design and pick up this thing, leave this thing, and develop the best curricula of your institution. That's my humble appeal to you all. So the third point in this LOCF comes about the program learning outcomes. I'll take 10 minutes more, and then you can have some questions and all. Program learning outcomes, because after the framing graduate attributes, now you frame program learning outcomes based on this thing, and those are programs. I think I already shared with you. Program is the broad, the general term, whereas the course means the specific term. So on the basis of we frame program learning outcomes. And program learning outcomes semester wise could be different, or you can have for every semester you can have different PLOs, program learning outcomes. And within semester, suppose you have 4 courses, you have 5 courses, you can have different course learning outcomes for different papers. And it really requires too much of brainstorming, too much of hard work, commitment, competencies on the part of people who are framing curriculum. I don't think it's a one-day task or 2 days, 3 days. When we do it in our department, friends, I sometimes it's too much of discussions and kind of the whole journey of discussion. We evolve the good inputs, and every input is discussed at length. So program learning outcomes are discussed, and then course learning outcomes. I told you that for specific courses we can go for course learning outcomes. So it's my discussion, my interaction with you is simply on the lines of
అప్ప ఊరికి రావాలా వెంకటేశ్వర కూడా తెల్లగడ్డ పాముడి వాడే 3 పేరు అప్పుడే కొంచెం కలర్ అయిపోతుందిగా కొంచెం కలర్ అయినా కదా నష్టం மட்டும் ஏன் சேர்ந்துருக்கு
வெள்ள வெள்ள புட்டேரு
வெள்ள வெள்ள புட்டேருல இதுல அன்பானே புட்டுக்கான வெள்ளையாச்சு
இன்னும் புட்டேர கூட வெள்ள காணா
வேறு செட்டு ஆனா யாரு బిడ్డ వయసు బేబీ వయసు సుచిగా
అవ్వకు నాకు ரொம்ப வருத்தமா உண்டு
Hello, ma'am. Sir is not audible and visible.
Sir? Sir, am I audible, sir? Valiya, sir?
Ma'am, Sari is not in the line.
Okay, suddenly it got disconnected.
Yeah, suddenly got disconnected. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sorry for the interruption. Sorry,
No,
sir.
no.
Sorry, sir.
I'll just move back to the, because now I'm left with only some of the points, so that now the point I was sharing with you, friends, that is the program learning outcomes, and then course learning outcomes I was sharing with you. That let me again get connected. That first I did talk about graduate attributes, then qualification descriptors. After that, we go for the program learning outcomes, PLOs, and from program learning outcomes, we actually design course learning outcomes. And the best practices for designing these things would require too much of practice, too much of brainstorming, which I was emphasizing upon. And then, of course, that would lead to the best curricula for your institution. Curricula which is learners friendly, curricula which actually specifies or leads to the specification on the part of teachers how to take on the activities, not only in terms of the transaction of the topics in the class, but also I'll come to the point that what should be the transactional practices. You see that in new policy on education, there is a specific chapter number 4, because there are 27 sections in national policy in education. I think you have seen that national policy education, the first 8 sections are for school education, 11 sections are for higher education, and then we have some other sections for professional and vocational education. But what I want to emphasize upon, the whole policy, national policy in education, needs to be implemented on the grounds of what should be the most desirable pedagogy. Pedagogy is very important, and that's what we say, transactional practices. So teaching learning process, it's not only that we see, friends, when we say designing curriculum, which I am sharing from very first minute, I am emphasizing upon this, that curriculum designing doesn't lead to the fact that, okay, we have to simply list out the topics for the students or for the teachers or for the all users of curriculum. No. Designing curriculum means we are very specific to our graduate attributes. We are very clear about our qualification descriptors. We are very clear about our program learning outcomes and course learning outcomes. And course learning outcomes, whether program learning outcomes, would also require to be explained in terms of teaching learning process. Teaching learning, I'm not talking about classroom teaching. Teaching learning process means what should be the transactional practices. As on today, we are dealing with the blended learning, the hybrid learning situations. So we have to understand what should be, and as on today, we are talking about learner-centric pedagogies. We are talking about from passive to active participation-based pedagogies. So where we have to see what should be the role of learner. As on today, you all see that learners, which we were actually visualizing, the self-directional learning, the self-learning, self-driven learning. As on today, the students have wider range of options available to get the content. And as teachers, our duty is to facilitate that process for the students so that they get the best route of content, best route of content transaction. Content, designing content is not the task. More important is that we transact that content to the students through various modes, through various practices. And that could be the point. So transactional practices should be very clearly. See that when we frame curriculum, we do talk about, okay, this is the, suppose any specific learning outcome, what should be the transaction practices? To achieve, to realize that outcome, what should be our practices? There we have to clearly specify all those practices which we have to use for the students. And then more important would be the assessment methods. Now, assessment method, I think we all understand, I am not referring to the examination. Whenever the term comes to assessment, what we believe that we are talking about examination. I think as on today, you all understand, earlier of evaluation of learning. Then we started, because evaluation of learning means just the roadmap, whatsoever you have learned the students to learn, and you just test them. So it was evaluation of learning, which has now failed because evaluation of learning doesn't give you the clear picture of the student's performance. It's not only how much marks he has gained. That's not the actual index of performance. So now we do talk about evaluation for learning. Earlier it was evaluation of learning. Now, as per the choice-based credit system, this, that, we started talking about evaluation for learning. But in the present context, in the recent context of the whole scenario of education, we are talking about evaluation as learning. That means the learner shouldn't feel anywhere that he is being evaluated. And every situation of learning should be a situation of evaluation. Every situation of evaluation should be a situation of learning. So both the things gets merged together. So we say evaluation as learning. And for that purpose, you all know that, you are well aware people, you all understand we had been talking about formative and summative evaluation practices. Now, it's not only that we go for the paper pencil test, we go for the tests. You see, in the present crisis, we have that we should go for the problem-based assignments, we should go for the practical assignments, the laboratory assignments, this, that, individual project reports, the presentations, the seminarian practices, the viva voce interview, and all that. And even we can use some computer-driven, the ICT-driven practices for evaluation. That would give you a broad framework of your formative and summative evaluation. And this is, friends, the real picture of evaluation as learning. So evaluation of learning, gone are the days. We should work on evaluation as learning, and then every situation of learning should be an evaluation, and every situation of evaluation should be a situation of learning. So these two things. So that kind of that the whole compartment, making compartments of learning. Okay, this content has been done. After 1 month, you will have the test. No, just go for the continuous evaluation of continuous learning of the students, and that's what actually LOCF does talk about. And that's what and last I would share with you that I think you all understand cognitive affective psychomotor domain. What I emphasize upon, because we don't have that much of time, that when you design your curriculum, we should take all the 3 domains of outcomes, that is cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. So with this, I should leave. I have more slides to discuss with you, but because of paucity of time, I did share with Madam Poornima also and all the organizers that because this requires too much of sessions to discuss every minute things of LOCF, but these are different knowledge level, application level, understanding level. How can we talk about these things? And in that way, I think we should have the best practice that we should go with the students. So I simply convey my thanks, and I believe, and I would request you to share your concern, share your, I'd like to add something to the discussion. And but one thing is that my purpose was just to ignite this discussion that we should go for learning outcome-based curriculum framework for different programs. Then only we can take lead in the world, take lead in the education sector, and every course, whether it is UG level, PG level, vocational education, professional education, we should have clear learning outcomes for the students, for the teachers, for any person who is associated, whether the industry, whether corporate. They should know the candidate has done this course. These were the learning outcomes. So this needs more discussion, friends. But in brief, let me conclude that graduate attributes, qualification descriptors, program learning outcomes, and course learning outcomes, every component needs to be discussed at length. God bless you all. And I'm sure that you have some more questions and you can discuss that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your insightful presentation, sir. Really, it's awesome. Thank you so much, sir. Dear participants, if any queries, you can ask, sir. Sir, kindly share your PPTs, sir. All are asking. Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. Dear professors, if any queries, you can ask, sir.
Madam, I'll share PPT with you. and then you can share with the participants.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Sure. Definitely, sir. I will
And
share.
I would be very happy if any question, any addition, any thread I get from the participants, as around 65 to 70 participants are there. So I think that would also
Yes, sir.
give
Most of them
my
watching.
knowledge addition.
Yes, sir. Most of them are watching through YouTube also, sir. YouTube live is available, sir. I think no more queries. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable presence, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Priyarashni?
sir, for your intellectual information and explanation about learning and curriculum. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. Even it can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. I think this is a perfect time to show our gratitude to all of them who have been listening in this workshop. Even though I want to show my sincere thanks to our respected Secretary Sir, Chairman Sir, and our Honorable Principal Sir, Dr. Emma Lakshminarayanan, sincere Academic Director, Dr. R.S. Parameswaran Sir, and Administrative Officers, PG and the Research Department of English, Mrs. S. Lata Ma'am, Assistant Professor and the Head of PJ English Department, in Trinity College for Women, and the convener and the Assistant Professor and the Head of UT English Department, of Mrs. Miss S. Poornima ma'am, and all the faculty members. Once again, I thank you all very much for your energetic participation and keeping passions to this workshop. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Sir, shall we wind up, sir? Okay, Priyarashni, we shall wind up now.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, sir. Feedback form will be posted in the group, ma'am. Thank you so much.